Hi, Sean.
Hey, Bram, how you doing?
Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
How was the week? Because it was an intense week.
Yeah, it was an intense week, but it's really important to get work with people and get to see people you haven't seen in a long time. And since everything's global now these days, it's nice to get together.
Yeah, maybe to give a bit of context, we had our global kickoff with everybody.
Yes, global kickoff, everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
You've been with us for a while. How was the...
Yeah, I've been here for a bit. Yeah, I think almost 5 years.
Yeah, and how was the journey so far?
It's been good. I've seen a lot of things change for the, getting new technology, and man, just it's crazy how fast technology changes. And yeah, it's been a fun ride working with a lot of customers, making sure people are happy and successful in their...
Well, 5 years and technology landscape, that's a while.
Yeah, no, everything's, so everything's changed. I mean, we have new technologies on the forefront, like Flutter. They have this thing called WASM, which is now in the browser, and things are completely different than they were even 5 years ago.
I hear things that excite you.
Yeah, there you go.
You are our Global Director of Technical Success.
Yes.
That means you get in contact with a lot of customers, especially on a technical level.
Yeah, so talk with them on a technical level, but also talk to them about their workflow and about how they can be successful in integrating Chili and all of our, amazing applications on our graphics platform. It's a tough job sometimes, but the customers are great to work with, and we've seen a lot of successes with customers, and yeah, it's been a good ride.
I can imagine tough because indeed your team is always on the front side.
We're always on the front lines, yeah. And we do have a lot of customers, and we try to provide the best support possible. So there is, customers always have questions. We got new ones coming in. They want to know how to integrate this and that, and we're always trying to make sure that they have a happy experience and that everything's smooth. And overall, luckily, we have a very high satisfaction rating. So
yeah, I was about to say it's tough on one hand, but isn't it 97% or 19?
So it's 96.9%.
That's 97.
So 97, yeah, rounded up. And overall, I think the customers are very happy with our way that we communicate with them and the kind of personal nature you have, and it's good.
Doing a good job. And the thing I want to talk about today is because you have all these conversations, I guess you get a lot of intelligence on what is a good approach that let's say a head of creative automation can take to take CHILI GraFx into their process, into their workflow, into their environment. What are topics that they should think about?
Yeah, I think when you're considering the CHILI GraFx platform and you're considering integrating it or using it or trying to figure out what it is, you need to take a look at your workflow when it comes to art creation or media creation and see the areas that you want to automate, or maybe you want to connect to like an external DAM or connect to internal information. Graphics platform, graphics publisher, and our new application, Graphics Studio, there is a whole bunch of features that come with it. And customers do a bunch of things. So we have some customers who, they might have all their assets stored over here and, in the external DAM. And then they have their templates here. And a lot of them are manually trying to put these two things together, right? But what they can do with Graphics Publisher is they can then connect these two, using our APIs and stuff. And now their clients or their template designers can, with a simple button or a click, they can get the images from over here into their templates over there. And that's just one feature. Yeah. There's quite a number of features. So I think it's important when looking to integrate Graphics Publisher or Graphics Studio to say, what are the things I want to automate? What are the things I want to even have my end users do? And kind of look at that workflow and find the places where our applications can fit in.
Yeah. So I think features is an important topic, especially for a creative operator,
Yes.
to have a lot of checkboxes. Okay, this and this and this feature, and this needs to work for me.
Yes.
Like you mentioned, connection to the external DAM system. Whatever is necessary in a template that you need to check off. So features is one topic.
Yeah.
Other topics that are...
Well, so yeah, once you look at the features, you're like, and you find those features that fit for you. And sometimes that is sitting down with our pre-sales or sales team and kind of thinking your workflow and talking about like, hey, how can I do this creative automation? And sometimes it's not always clear. You know, you want to get to an objective, but how do you get from A to Z? But once you know all that, it really comes down to taking a look at then how can I take this graphics platform system and integrate it into my platform. And the good news is that all of our applications are designed to be easily implemented into your platform. I usually joke when they are, when we're in the training session or I'm talking to a client and they're like, well, how hard is it to integrate, Chili GraFx? And I say, well, does your developers know how to use JavaScript? The answer is yes, usually. And does your developer know how to make HTTP requests? Can they make web requests? Like, yes. Okay, great. You just did 80% of the work, right? It's very simple. I mean, we build our applications to be integrated. A lot of other, platforms or solutions, you have to pop out to another system and it's confusing. But this, you can actually integrate tightly into your application. That we have API, we have documentation, and it's very clear, from a development standpoint, is like your developers are like, okay, yeah, I just put it on this page and it pops up there. And so the hardest part, honestly, is not even the integration aspect. It's making sure that the user workflow that you have, works with Graphics Publisher or Graphics Studio. And that just basically comes down to the good news is that we support some plugins for like InDesign or Illustrator that you can then convert over. Yeah. So your template designers, they can take this artwork they've already done, move it into our system, and already get started. And as you already know, the applications, especially Graphics Studio, I think Graphics Studio looks really nice. They're designed to be, like familiar to a designer. So you don't go in there like, what is this? They can do it. And what's really great, even adding on to that, is we don't just think of the designer, but we also think of the end user. So we have this thing where you can open up our application like in a designer mode and you oh my gosh, this looks just like InDesign. But then you can also open up an end user mode where you can actually tailor the experience for the end user. So that compatibility aspect of like, hey, does it work for my developers? Yes. Does it work for my template designers? Yes. And then it's just simply figure it out. Okay, I got that. Yes, compatibility. Then it's just simply figuring out, do I want to go or integrate Chili GraFx, the graphics platform, into my platform? I mean, because there are a lot of competitors out there. There's a lot of things going on. But we have a very unique place that we are really going towards this, dynamic, smart template content creation. And with that, we've been doing this for quite a long time. I mean, the company's been, it's over 10 years now, right?
Yeah, 13 years today.
Yeah, 13 years. So we've been around long enough to show that, hey, look, we actually have the ability to do this. We know what we're doing. And we have the talent here to know what we're doing. I mean, if you take a look, especially now, we're even better now because we actually have a lot of our source code for like our SDK and stuff. It's on GitHub. You can just go look at it. So what we're trying to say is to everybody like, hey, is this a company I can trust? Well, we've been in the business for this long. Our source code for our SDK and other things are available. We have our documentation public, and we have over, 240, 250 happy customers that have been using us, and some big brands.
97% happy.
Yeah, 97% happy. And we have some of the big brands that are using us, some big brands in the United States. And they wouldn't be using Graphics Publisher or Graphics Studio if they didn't, trust that we knew what we were doing.
Before we record, there were a few other topics that you want to talk about, like scalability.
Yeah,
because I can imagine if you want creative automation, it's not about just creating one template to do one task. You want to do it at scale.
Yes, and I think that's where Graphics Publisher and Graphics Studio as applications really break the mold when it compares to other big competitors out there, right? a lot of big competitors out there, they'll say like, oh, we do XYZ. And then when you start looking into their API, you start looking at how to integrate, it's like, oh, XYZ is a little hard to do. A lot of times we have customers who are using our platform to be able to scale out their templates at a global level. So for example, you have one template, right? Just one template. It looks really easy. It's just like a freaking, ad or maybe a price. But if that template needs to be in 10 different languages, maybe you need to change the colors depending on the country. That one template now ends up with 20, 30 versions, and then you have to have all these people approve. The cool thing about our software is that we built it to take that 30 template and turn it back into one template. So all your logic is in one. And then if all the way down before you go to production, it's like, oh no, we forgot the logo needs to be replaced or it needs to be over here. You just update the master template to fix that scenario. Where back in the old days, you'd have to go recycle the whole thing and you get reapproval and all that. And being online means that, for your template designers, they can just pop it up and they can share the link to the person who needs to approve it. It just the scalability from a global factor, especially as now a global market, is quite impressive.
I can imagine that your team runs into a few questions when people want to make it as scalable and flexible as possible, that they then turn into your team to ask questions on how can we even push it even further?
Yeah, that's a lot of times people who are looking at this technology or they're looking to get into creative automation, they don't always know how to get from that, where I'm at right now, to the endpoint of things being automated, things being dynamic. And so there is a lot of discussions about how can we take our old standard template designs and turn those into. And the good news is that, our application pretty much makes it simple because you design the base and then you just say, hey, these are the variables, and then things connect up. So for the template designer aspect, it makes the template designers' lives easier. The goal is for them to be able to do more with the tools. And we're playing a part in making them more productive and making their lives easier because, again, the whole workflow process becomes a lot simpler.
I can see why we get to 97%.
Yeah, we get to 97%, yeah.
There's a few more topics that you wanted to talk about that are important in how to bring that platform into your application.
Yeah, so when you're looking to bring the platform into your application, you got to think about security. Are things secure? Is graphics secure? Yeah. I think it's important to note that we are ISO 27001. Did I get that right? Yeah.
Yes. Correct.
Certified, and we actually get audited for that, and we're certified, so we definitely proven that we have that type of security. So from a security aspect, our back end is very secure, and we have policies in place. And then from an end user aspect, because we integrate, if there is more strict demands, like, we can't have the assets on your platform, it has to be on our platform. Well, yeah, you can do that. You can have your assets in your DAM, or you can have your information in your PIM, and then connect that up by using our APIs to, Graphics Publisher or Graphics Studio. So from a security aspect, it just makes sense that it should be easy and smooth, and it shouldn't, take a lot of effort. And so we try to do that here.
Since we audited and we got a lot of good records recently, so that's good.
Yeah, we did.
And recently, I had the honor to talk with Peter about performance. Yes. I guess performance is also an important topic to talk about.
Yeah, so when you are integrating, you need to think about, is this application performant for what I'm trying to do?
Yeah.
And there's two types of performance. There's performance from is it going to save my team performance? Do they have more time to do stuff? But the performance I'm talking about, which yes, we would, but the performance I'm talking about is instead, is the application performant? Do we use? And we've made some major infrastructure changes to Graphics Publisher to make it very more performant. And Graphics Studio, our new application, is even better. Yeah. It's the technologies that we're using, because we're trying to be on the edge just like everyone else, is making it so it's becoming more and more performant, even to the point where I actually work in the United States, but a lot of times I'm using our server over here in Europe, because, you know, they have CDNs and all this, you know, cross connection things. And I don't really even notice the difference. And that's the goal, is that your template designers aren't stopped, or your end users aren't stopped by slowdowns or whatnot. They don't have to sit there for, you know, 15 seconds while InDesign opens up, type of thing.
And even after you went all this checklist and say, look, this looks good. If there are even more questions, and I guess then support kicks in as well.
Yeah, whenever you look at something, you got to say, is there support, right? And, you know, at CHILI GraFx, we have our platform is designed to be easy. So we hope you don't need support. But if you do need support, we have a support team. We have a support team. They are very awesome. Like we were talking earlier, customers have a 97% satisfaction rate. We have, I think, under an hour response times on average. And overall, it's important that, you know, you feel like there's avenue for you to be able to get help. And my team and everyone here at CHILI goes above and beyond to try to make sure you are successful in what you're trying to do. So all those things together, I think, really positions CHILI GraFx in a unique space. And, you know, we really tried to think of the customer journey. And of course, we're always trying to improve, right? We're going to make major improvements in the future. We're hoping to be more open, like our SDK, be open in our documentation, and just really allow the community that we're trying to build to work with us in building out and making creative automation a real thing in this, you know, next 10 years.
Super. Well, that's great insights. Maybe to sum it up, there's like several topics we talked about, things that are important to know when you want to integrate a platform like CHILI GraFx into your creative automation. So I won't go over all of them again. But great to have had you here and giving us these insights in
of course,
why we do it. And
that's what I do. I talk about how to be successful.
Super. And thanks to the awesome support team and the technical success team.
All right. Yeah, cool.
Do you have some time in Europe left before you head back?
Yeah, we're heading down to Brussels tonight. I'm gonna show them off the what's it called, the Grand Palace or whatever it is. Yeah, and indeed. Show off all like the guilds that were down there and stuff like that. So.
Super. Well, enjoy tonight, and it was a great pleasure to have you here, and hope to see you soon.
Thanks. I like being here. If you want to have me on again, I'll be more than happy to talk about success.
Good to know. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Rob.